Here's something that will blow your mind. NASA discovered that 98% of 5-year-olds are creative geniuses. But by age 31, that number drops to just 2%. What happened to all that creative potential?
That's such a dramatic decline. How did they measure something as abstract as creativity?
Well, it was based on their ability to come up with innovative solutions to complex problems. The really fascinating part is that this decline isn't biological. It's largely influenced by our environment and education system.
You know, that makes me think about how schools often discourage creative thinking by insisting on single, correct answers.
Exactly right. And this is where Bassem Jafal's work becomes really interesting. As an innovation manager, he's found that creativity isn't some fixed trait, it's actually a skill we can develop and maintain throughout our lives.
So what are some practical ways we can rebuild that creative muscle?
There are several proven techniques. One is keeping an ideas notebook to capture random thoughts and observations. Another is taking regular walks. Research shows that walking can boost creative thinking by up to 60%. But here's what's really interesting, even being bored can spark creativity.
That's counterintuitive. We're always trying to avoid boredom.
Right? But it turns out that when our minds wander, they often make unexpected connections. It's like giving your brain permission to play, instead of always being in productive mode.
That reminds me of how children naturally play and explore without judgment. Maybe that's part of why they score so high on creativity tests.
Absolutely. And this is where organizations can learn from children. Companies need to create what Jafal calls psychological safety, an environment where people feel safe to experiment and potentially fail.
Like IDEO's approach to design thinking, right?
Exactly. IDEO's process starts with empathy, really understanding user needs, then moves through problem definition, ideation, prototyping, and testing. It's a systematic approach to creativity that's produced some amazing innovations.
But implementing this in traditional organizations must be challenging.
It definitely is. That's why government support through research and development incentives is so crucial. It gives organizations the breathing room they need to innovate properly.
So what you're saying is that reclaiming our creativity requires changes at every level: individual, organizational, and societal?
Precisely. And here's what's really exciting. We're seeing more companies adopt these principles. Some are dedicating up to 20% of employee time for creative projects, following Google's famous innovation model.
That's encouraging. It seems like we're finally recognizing the value of creativity in the workplace.
And not a moment too soon. In today's rapidly changing world, creative problem solving isn't just nice to have, it's essential for survival. Studies show that 85% of jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't even been invented yet.
Well, that certainly puts things in perspective.
The key takeaway here is that while we might have lost some of our natural creativity growing up, we can absolutely rebuild it. It just takes the right environment and consistent practice.
And maybe a few more walks and boring moments to let our minds wander?
Exactly that. Because in the end, innovation isn't about having sudden brilliant insights. It's about creating the conditions where creativity can naturally flourish. Whether that's through walking, maintaining an ideas notebook, or simply allowing ourselves to be bored occasionally.
It's like we need to give ourselves permission to be creative again.
That's exactly it. And when we do, we might just find that our inner 5-year-old creative genius was there all along, just waiting for the chance to come out and play.